Hello, everybody who's watching this after hours. There's nobody on the call here yet, so let me just assume nobody's going to join here. So I'll just do a quick one today. All right, so let's get rolling. Get the charts. I could definitely use some background music today. All right, let's get this thing up. All right, so what is going on? There's lots of this is the looks like a classic melt up here. So I'll start out here with the Nasdaq, and I'll clean up some of this stuff here. So I think probably what we're seeing here, if we take just a step back from the last here, like origin point here, like what we saw back back at the middle of August. If I tighten up the fibs on this, that's not what I wanted. Hold on. I don't know why I'm saying hold on. There's nobody on the call. Fast forward to this part. All right. So did this earlier today just to double check and see if I'm crazy or not. All right, so just a rough drawing here. I did it more precise on my regular chart, but you can kind of see here that this termination point here is 2.618. I think we talked about this last week, where it's a possibility. Here we go. It's just there we go. So it's close on my other chart here. Oops. Never mind. I don't want to dig for it, but it's the same concept. So what I think we're looking at here is pretty close to the end of a wave 3. So overall, this is, I think, what we're seeing here, where we should see some sort of pullback like this, and then like a continuation. I know we've been kind of saying this for a while, but typically wave 3s extend to either 1.786, or like it's just beyond this 1.618, or it can go up to like 2.618. But you don't typically see that when you're looking at these high level index views. But I mean, you guys can certainly see that it's been pretty much nonstop here, and that's characteristic of a wave 3. So what I think we might see here is a top like probably tomorrow. And we might finish up the week with a little bit of selling, but it's still too early to tell. Of course, I could be completely wrong, and it could just keep rock and rolling up. But for the Nasdaq in general, I'm thinking 25,200 is probably our top for at least like this wave 3, because the next step is typically the 4.236, and you don't really see those a lot unless it's like a primary wave 3, which is what I'm thinking this is. So you might see something more along the lines like this. And again, it's all subject to change, of course, but kind of thinking that this is more of like our we might actually see something like this. But I don't want to commit to something like that just because it's a little bit too far in advance. So for right now, we'll just kind of zoom in and just take a look at what seems to be the case. So typically you'll see that there's the volume declines. It's pretty hard to tell here with the 2-hour, but as you're looking at the hourly here, or sorry, the daily, you can still kind of see that the volume's kind of like topped out a little bit. And anytime you see the like big heavy red days, they're all pretty significant. What had actually been really surprising was yesterday. So when we had some pretty strong selling, if I go down to the hourly, so you can see this, it really stands out. So we had about 2 hours yesterday of just super strong super strong selling and just kind of blasting through all the different levels of support. But as opposed to something like a stair step down, which is what we saw before. But from a wave counting perspective, we can't really count any more 5 wave cycles. So I really do think that this is it's got to be really close here. So whether the Fibonacci levels are adhered to or not, I think that there's a good chance that we'll see some sort of selling tomorrow. You can kind of see here that the volume is very lopsided, where it looks like somebody took a big short position yesterday, and then let the bulls buy it up, and this is sort of like an effort to trap them. You could tell in chat all day today, just online, anywhere, where people are just buy, everything's fine, nobody cares anymore, just buy. And that's kind of where it gets a little tricky to try to figure it out. So with that being said, I do think that we'll probably cap here probably tomorrow, but if not, and it kind of exceeds past that, we might see like one of these sort of things where you stab up and then it kind of traps more people, and then you see some sort of faster sell. So taking a look here at the S&P, you can already see here with the S&P that it's looking like a pretty clear, like a 5 wave sort of structure here. Now I don't necessarily think that something like 6,800 is unreasonable, but that's still pretty far from where we're at here. A lot of the call gamma. See here. So we go to like SPX. Call wall is here at like 6,800. Now it's possible, sure. I mean, and things look sort of symmetrical for it, so I wouldn't really, put it past these guys to just keep jacking up the price. Now, I do think that we're right in the middle here of a melt up. There's a lot of questions, a lot of what's going on, that kind of thing. I do think that this looks relatively symmetrical, so I think that we'll probably see more charging ahead. Again, if things don't really reverse tomorrow, just due to something like this, where you can kind of see that 25,200 level is a pretty key level all the way from the bottom. And again, like measured correctly, this is like 25,201 or something. It was really, really close to a round number. So I think that you'll see something relatively similar with the S&P. So let's just do a quick drawing on it. See if it's nonsense or not. And this won't be super precise. It's just kind of eyeballing it, but it should be relatively close. There we go. Okay, so even another 100 points. Okay, yeah. So it's insane. But this is still, if we do see some sort of extension like this, then or at least like a blast past 6,800, then I think you're getting into troubled waters here. So I won't spend too much more time on it, just because it's really not complicated right now. It's just make sure open short positions are hedged, and I mean, personally, I'd like to sit out of any sort of any sort of long trades with equities, just because I don't know, it just doesn't make me comfortable going along with equity indexes right now when they're so high. Sure, you could do like stops and trail stops and things like that, but it's just it's getting a little too extended, a little too weird for me. It's getting weird signals from it. So let's take a look here. The Dow doesn't really tell us much. It's just grinding up like everything else. Small caps, nobody cares about small caps. Laughing at my own jokes. The yield here, let me pull up my other chart. So the yield itself is I do think it's taking like a B wave bounce from today. We did have FOMC minutes, which honestly, like, there's no nobody cares. Nobody cares about FOMC minutes. Everybody knows inflation's here, and they've never been traditionally a big event. So I do think that at least like it serves as a pivot point though for something like bonds. So this could turn into something like this, where we have some sort of we have another like chop zone sort of thing, but that'll still, it should propel, the yield upward. So I would say you're at probably like close to a bottom here for this triangle, or maybe already at the bottom. So you could still probably add in and feel relatively good about being able to exit if you could. So, again, with the yield going up, or at least projected to go up, it's bad for equities, but equities don't really care right now. So it's I'm trying not to be glib about it, but the reality is, it's just mania. So don't overthink it. Equities are just going to go up. So let's take a look at gold, which has been insane. It blasted right past. It blasted right past the 4,000 level here, and as you can see here, it's way overbought. I don't think I've ever seen a overbought rating this high before. So that was impressive. So the greedy gold bulls here are just really driving up everything. So we'll see what happens tomorrow morning, because we got a pretty decent rejection from this from this high. But if you can tell, like, a lot of the action happened overnight with overseas buyers and things. But now we're starting to see throughout the day here that we had a lot of consolidation, and now we're having some selling. And I do think that once you see some selling with gold, you'll also see some selling with equities. Just seems to all these ships seem to rise and fall at the tide. See something like silver. Silver, I do think that this is like a wave 3 crest here. If I zoom in, you can see that there's like these ending diagonal patterns everywhere with a lot of these different stocks. So this, to me, I do think that this is going to break through. Like, you'll probably see something like this. So or maybe like a ABC sort of thing. So long story short here, gold may continue to head up, but I think silver is getting really close here. It's possible you might see 50, but if we get a pullback in gold, like a strong one, it might not hit 50 yet, but be happy with 49.195. All right, so oil here, I think it's possible we might see another low. This might be a good spot to hedge, but you might see something sort of like this, where it hits that bear target 1 at 60, and then that completes this like fourth wave or D wave, whatever you want to count it as. And then I think you see a breakout on the next wave up. But for now, that's the easiest way I can explain it, is that it's hitting up against this point of control, plus also the 50 and the 200 daily moving average, and it's it's just a really significant point of resistance. You can also see that there's a volume shelf here. It's got a volume profile of a D, which typically means that there's it's like evenly distributed here. So this is like a pretty long-term consolidation pattern. So if you short here, or short around like 62, 63, it's probably not that bad. Or buy either. So you could take a long or short trade and be relatively safe from like significant losses. I just don't see oil as it's not a strong mover right now. So if we look at something like natural gas, I think that you see a lot of buying here. Oil was down a lot today, but I guess the good news is that this trend line is still surviving here, and in my opinion, that's where you see a lot of this back testing. So it's like the sellers trying to test, like, is this time for us to finally go flip bull? These prior days here, like from October 1st, 2nd and 3rd, there was a lot of buy volume, like very significant spikes. So the selling here, to me, this looks like a reaccumulation zone. So I do expect this to head on up here. This might not be a wave 3, it might be like the end of a C leg. But I don't know. This looks like a pretty clear like breakout and then back test. So might be good to, if you're feeling bold, it might be good to do some, let's say like January calls or something like that for Boyle on 30 or something, or 29. That might be, it might be worth it. All right, semiconductors. Where are they going, or where are they going to stop? Nobody knows. Probably 300. It's just rocking and rolling. I mean, you can kind of see here that there's this 5-wave structure here. You got that swift pullback. yeah, I mean, it's got some room to run here, but I think it's trading very erratic, and that's not good for for getting sleep. So right now, if you have SOXL, you can have a trail stop and something like that. I wouldn't. I mean, if you already have SOSX, it might be good to add up here, but still watch and see what equities do for indexes at least, where we might get like a blow off top charge a little bit higher. All right, all right. Before I go to Bitcoin, I'll do Nvidia here. Just, cut from the same cloth. This one is still not invalidated here. This irregular type of pattern. We could see the C leg here hit up to this 191. Yeah, it got pretty close. I'm still seeing that it's possible. Like you could do this. You could see this pretty clear 5-wave pattern within the C leg. And I know it's probably a little small, but you can see this in here. And I'm thinking that this is probably what's going to happen. So let's go to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, it did reject pretty strong, but we have a retracement here. I think probably what you'll see is some selling, where you'll see like you might see like a ABC like this, and then you might see a continuation up just a little bit higher. I'm not sure yet. I still kind of think it's like an irregular pattern, but yeah, I still just want to continue to look at the volume here and see kind of how things are trending. All right, so let's take a look at Tesla. So Tesla, this one, in my opinion, is Tesla's toast. You'll probably see, was toast, continuing to be toast. You'll probably see this irregular type patterns. You're seeing them everywhere here because it's a good fake out move for bulls and bears. So this bear target of this like 404, I guess you could say, that's kind of like like 402. This is like your wave 4 low from the prior wave, and typically you can see these retracements like this. It is certainly possible that once that happens, you could see something like this, where you could see a pretty decent climb up, because this does kind of look like this is like a wave 1, 2, 3, maybe 4, and then a 5. So don't be surprised if Tesla makes a new high for some unknown reason. But in my opinion, there's somebody taking profits here, selling high quantities of shares. So last but not least, take a look at MSTR. So I would have thought that MicroStrategy would have increased in price here with Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's still elevated, and even if it charges up higher to like the 130,000 mark, MSTR really isn't doing much. So I still think it is a good spot to hedge. So if you zoom in here, you look, we've got this 5-wave, and I think probably what you'll see here is like an ABC, so something like this, where you could still make a lot of money on like an MSTU hedge, something like that. So I would say tomorrow, if everything's going bananas again with equities, then likely you'll see some sort of price appreciation here. But I still think you might see like just one small lower low. But every time I say that, it never seems to actually happen. So let's see what the fibs say. Fibs say down to about 320 is like your low, or like your low point. And the reason I think that is because you've got these 2 points here, and I see some top wicks here in the hourly. So I'm thinking that this is a great entry for like a short play, or sorry, for like a long play down here for like 320 for like a solid potential retracement here. So if you look at the longer term view, it's possible you might see something like this, where you had this big sell, from back from July, and it just kept going. But you might finally get this like last little sprint. So if we have a blow off top, highly likely you'll see something like this, where maybe heads up to like 400 or something. I'm not going to watch my position melt away again, so I'm going to come up with some capital and hedge it. And so I'm going to play the hedge pair here. So if I get my target right around 320, then I'm going to, or 322, 320, then I'm gonna add some MSTU and play the bounce. Okay, well, that's it. I guess nobody's here, so no questions. And let me know in chat if you have any questions, and I will see you tomorrow. See ya.